Good evening, everyone. This is James Montgomery from the Ear Hustling Podcast. Of course, as usual, I'm not even going to introduce nobody because y'all can see live and in color. There's a few people's faces on here. So, of course, we got Mr. 313, of course. We got Eric Smith. What's up, E?
Nothing much, man. Just, trying to represent 313 to the fullest. But I know they don't want to hear me and you chit-chat all day. They weren't interested in what everybody else got to say. So,
I'll be honest with you, Eric. I got a lot of messages on how you royally fucked up the greatest team of all time tournament. So hopefully the council here can right your wrongs. I tried to fix one of them. So hopefully they can write it. But we're going to get into that shortly. So we got the council people. These guys are making up what we're calling the council tonight. We got Adam. We got Dwayne. We got Alvin. We got Antoine. And we got some last jabroni named Princeton. So what's up, y'all?
What's happening?
What up, dude?
So I'm gonna be honest with y'all tonight. I don't know what's gonna be said. We got a group of guys that I have no idea what's gonna come out their mouth. So whatever they say, we strongly back it up. That's all I got to say. I do want to give a special shout out to Antoine because Antoine is the very first two-time visitor of the show. So welcome back, Antoine.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
No problem. All right, so it's simple, guys. We're here for two things. We got y'all been tasked with two very important things. The first thing is, like I said, righting Eric's wrong. A couple episodes ago, we had the greatest NBA franchise tournament that we did. If y'all didn't hear it, you definitely want to go back and listen to it. But here's what we did. We did 4 decades. We got the champions from every year from the 80s all the way up to the 2010, so up to 2019. We threw them in a tournament, 32 teams, and he picked the winners. So just as a quick recap, the winner of the 1980s was the 81, 84, 86 Boston Celtics. We threw them all as just one organization since their championships were so close together, it only made sense. The 90s champion, of course, you would guess it, the Bulls team of the 6 years. The 2000s was the 04 Pistons, and the 2010s is the 15, 17, 18 Warriors. So once again, y'all are here to determine the grand champion, the greatest NBA organization of all times. So without further ado, first of all, before we get into that, what does anyone have to say about any teams that you may not have heard? Tell Eric how he screwed up. I'm ready to hear it.
yeah, I'm ready to hear it too.
Who's missing from this list?
The format goes for that decade.
Hold on. Y'all
hold on
started
1
out
second.
already. That was one of the rules in the pre-show. Don't talk at the same time. And they can't even follow the rules already. Look at this. I got a mute button and I ain't afraid to use it.
We're gonna do it this way. We're gonna throw it to Adam first.
Hey, give me that list of teams that are left in this thing.
So from the 80s, you got the Boston Celtics, 81, 84, 86 Boston Celtics. From the 90s, you got the Chicago Bulls, the 6-year champions there, 91, 92, 93, 96, 97, 98. From the 2000s, you got the 04 Pistons. And from the 2010s, you got the 15, 17, 18 Golden State Warriors.
Man, how did this end up?
So what teams, Adam, do you see that probably should be in that group that is not? Is there anyone that sticks out in your mind?
I mean, the Lakers from the 80s. I don't know why they're not in there.
Lakers from the 80s. So let's see who eliminated them. So the 80s Lakers.
That was me.
So now Adam, Q, James, you're on crack. So the format was simple. I had 2 vetoes, and the format was Eric had the Lakers coming out of the first round. They beat the 07 Cavaliers, and in the second round, they faced the 89 Pistons. The 89 Pistons beat the 93 Suns. So Eric chose the Lakers to win that matchup, and I used my only veto of the night on that matchup. And here's my justification on it. Once again, you can say I'm on crack if you want to. My justification was this, and it's not because I'm a fan. But in 88, when the Lakers played the Pistons, they pushed it to game 7. All right, it was a hard-fought battle, go to 7 games. Pistons came back, they regrouped, they got ready. In 89, they swept the Lakers. So in my opinion, they had a more convincing, dominating win over that team than what the Lakers had on them. So that was kind of my justification on why I chose the 89 Pistons to beat the Lakers. So Q, I'm on crack.
Nah, you're not on crack for that reason, man.
Thank
That's fair. I mean, that was an aging Laker team, so you know, it is what it is. So yeah, that's justified. I don't know how you can put this is more like a franchise thing versus because the Bulls' first three-peat was completely different than the Bulls' second three-peat. That those teams were completely different. And so if you're going to qualify them all together, now you got how many players? 30, going against these other guys. I take the Bulls every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, when you got that many players involved on picking from a roster, of you're going to play against the Pistons or Boston or Golden State. No, none of them can hang with them.
Interesting. Okay. Antoine, what team do you see that's missing from this Final Four, if any?
Hey, man, Adam took the words out of my mouth, man. Cool, man. He did.
Well, they're not missing, though. They're there. But, okay, so you think the Final Four is good?
Yeah, everything's solid, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Princeton, don't tell me Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks. But who you got missing from this list?
That was what I was going to say. But no, I guess if I had to have one interjection, and it would be, what about the Kobe Shaq Lakers? What happened with them?
So the Kobe Shaq Lakers of the 2000s, they lost in the championship in the finals of the 2000s against the 04 Detroit Pistons.
I don't know.
Obviously.
Well,
Right?
and
We actually saw that.
And that's the argument, that James had. My thing is that, you can look at Malone, you can look at Peyton, you can look at Shaq, Kobe, and whoever else was there, but that team was dysfunctional. Now, if you look at it on paper, people thought on paper that they were going to win, but Detroit won through 11, and we're not going to include Darko, was solid.
Could I share something with you, Eric? This is a news flash, so this is a spoiler alert. The game is played on the court, not in paper.
Exactly, and that's why the Pistons advanced.
But I guess
I just thought I wanted to share that because I saw the game at the Palace, and I was at the Staples Center, not on this thing, So, but you're right. On paper, it looked good for the Lakers, but yeah, Shanti has something else for that.
Are you ranking this by the best team for that year or the best franchise during that time? Because you said you were grouping teams, and the Lakers during that time, they won more than just one. So it seems kind of unfair to put the Pistons 1 better than those Lakers 3.
That's a great point.
Well, you should have been on the show on Saturday.
Also went for right.
Go ahead, Alvin.
I was just gonna say because the Pistons at that time at the 04 point, would they make 6 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals?
Yep.
What I'm saying, going on from that point. So, that's just But I agree though. I'm saying it happened for a reason. So, what I'm saying, that's what it is. 04 Pistons there. So,
Alvin, since you're on, do you see any other team that's missing from that Final Four that probably should have been there?
No, Final Four is solid.
Okay, Dwayne, how about you?
So the '86 Celtics team, right? So just a quick recap: who won the '80s bracket?
The '80s bracket was the '80s Celtics, 81, 84, 86 Celtics.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so the '80s, I'm down with that. The '96 Bulls, obviously '97, '98, obviously held it down in the first three-peat. For the 2000s, as much as I love the Pistons, we're talking about decade dominance. In a one-on-one game, between any 2000 team, I think the 04 Pistons would win. But if you have to consider all factors, Shaq focus and his prime. The 04 Shaq was overweight and out of shape. Would Ben Wallace be able to handle a 2000 Shaquille O'Neal, MVP Shaquille O'Neal? As much as I would let it say yes, the answer is no. Kobe Bryant is Kobe Bryant, and the Lakers were deeper in the early 2000s than they were in 04. Who could stop Robert Horry in the perimeter? Because if that were the case, Pistons would have won the championship in 2003 when the Nets made a whole bunch of wide open threes on the Pistons in 2003. So as much as I love the Pistons, bad boys, Detroit basketball, I would have to say the 2000 Lakers should have won that bracket, that part of the bracket. As much as I hate to say it.
So that's a fair point, but one thing I will point out is, and then we're going to move on to crowning the ultimate champion. Dwayne, one thing I will point out is I don't think the 04 Ben Wallace could handle the 04 Shaquille O'Neal alone, and he didn't. He had help. He had Eldon Campbell. He had Corliss Williamson. They threw a bunch of bodies at Shaq that year. It just wasn't Ben Wallace. So I think the same thing would have played a factor. Now, we've run that same series back 2 years prior, with the same rosters playing at their best at the time. Who knows what will happen? I think this is one of those things where 9 times out of 10, the Lakers might win that matchup. It's just that one time, and that's all you need is one time to win. And a lot of experts do, and I'm not calling Eric and I experts, that's for sure, but a lot of other people that are considered experts do consider the 04 Pistons as one of the greatest teams ever. So I think we're on to something there, but that's a very fair point, though.
And your point going back to the prior year, Rasheed wasn't with the Pistons the prior year. The Pistons were making their surge pre-Rasheed.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this question: If it were the 2004 Pistons against 2000 Lakers, if Rasheed Wallace left Robert Horry open in 2005, how many times have you left him open in 2000? Hypothetically speaking.
I don't know. Hypothetically speaking, Horry probably is still knocking down shots the way he usually does. He was an X factor. I mean, you were so busy worrying about all of the other stars on the Lakers. You get Robert Horry, who basically is forgotten about for 3.5 quarters. And then the next thing you know, scramble. Oh, God, we left Robert Horry open. So that's usually the way it happened. Nobody game planned for him, but it was just one of the things that he knows how to get into the flow. He's a vet. He was already a previous champion. Right spot, right person, right time.
All right. So here we go, guys. Let's go ahead and move past this part so we can get into the top 10. So we're just going to do the matchups. We got the 80s decade winner, which is the 81, 84, 86 Boston Celtics versus the 2010 champion, which is the 15, 17, 18 Golden State Warriors. So I'm going to start out this first question based off of the way everyone's lined up on my screen. So Adam, you're first. Who do you got winning that matchup?
Hey, say those matchups again.
Yep, the 80s Boston Celtics versus the 2010 Golden State Warriors.
Okay, what era are we playing in? We playing in the 80s era, or are we playing in the 2000s era?
So,
because that makes a difference. Because Boston was
being physical.
Yeah, Boston was scrappy, and they're not going to get away with that in 2020, So and Golden State is way too soft to be playing in the 1980s. They're just too soft. So
that's a fair. So that really changes the whole dynamic of that matchup, because no matter whatever the answer is, we know who will win then. So that's going to be a tough one to say. The council, or let me yield to my co-host first. Eric, how do you want to proceed with that?
You know what? We're going to go straight up. We're going to go talent for talent. Let's just pretend like we out on the streets.
Right.
So we playing out in the gym.
Hey, I like it. I got Boston.
All right, you got Boston. So that's one for Boston.
I got Boston.
Dwayne, how about you?
I feel the same thing with Boston, because it's not so much, and the 86 Celtics are getting the same treatment right now that the 89 Pistons got. They just scrapped and beat people up. But Boston was very cerebral, very smart. Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge could guard the wing. They could force Steph Curry to run inside a little bit to try to shoot over the bigs. Steph Curry's not going to do the fancy abracadabra layups on Larry Bird or Robert Parrish, right? Plus, keep in mind that Boston was deeper. The first two quarters, yes, Golden State has an advantage. We're talking the third quarter, fourth quarter, when people get tired. People have to start getting smart. Boston has the advantage there. Now, I do consider rules between the 80s rules and 2010s rules or 2010 rules are much easier to play on. But even rules or not, I still think Boston has a huge advantage. I'm going to go with Boston.
All right, so that's 2-0. Before we continue on, I'm going to throw out one thing. Keep in mind, there's a guy named Kevin Durant. And I personally think that Kevin Durant, in my opinion, I think Kevin Durant is one of the few players that's in today's game that could have played back in the 80s. That's my opinion, but, it is what it is. Princeton, what say you? We got 2-0 going to Boston.
To be honest, I give it to the Warriors, hands down. I think the whole 80s, 90s persona of tough basketball, I think it's overhyped.
What?
I think it's overhyped.
Oh my God!
I think the talent in today's basketball is actually. I think all the teams are a lot better than they used to be. I mean, I understand there were a lot of teams going back to back then, but the Warriors they changed how the game was played. Pre-Warriors, you'd see a lot of teams they built around big man, and then they pass the ball out, and that's kind of how they built their offenses around. The Warriors, they were a perimeter team. They spread you out so far, you'd find yourself trying to get to Steph, trying to get to Clay. And then all of a sudden you have people like freaking Zaza Pachulia who can score on the inside because no one's guarded them because they don't want you to score from three. They literally changed how the game is played. You see people today, your Damian Lillards, your all these other players, like just shooting 3 feet, 5 feet out from the three-point line. That's something that the Warriors started. I think they just had that lineup with Kevin Durant, like you said, that death lineup that they called it unstoppable. I don't think there's any team that can stop that.
All right, we got 2-1 in favor of Boston. Antoine, what say you, sir?
Man, I gotta go with my man. The Warriors, the way they played the game was two totally different ways, and back then they wasn't prepared for no offense like Golden State. Nobody was, as y'all can see, even to this day. But man, I gotta give it to Golden State, man.
All right.
It's form of shoes.
So we got a tie here. So, Alvin, you got a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, cousin. What is up? What say you?
I'm Warriors, period.
He was like, I don't care what no one else says, the Warriors. All right, so the 25th.
I'm a big KD fan, but, I mean, just the way, what was already said, but, it matchup for matchup, position versus position, is no way that Boston team would I see keeping up with the Warriors team in a 7-game series. I just don't think it happens. There's just no way. You know what I'm saying? Just position, no way. The Boston team may have been deeper, but they so explosive, man. I mean, we've seen it. Golden State should be down 10 and be up, 12 in a matter of a couple minutes. So, I just don't see it happening. The Celtics versus the Warriors and them coming out on top.
Okay, so we got our first team to advance to the finals. Now we're going to switch the order here. So, Alvin, we're going to start with you. We're going to just reverse it. We got the 91, 92, 93, 96, 97, 98 Chicago Bulls versus the 04 Pistons. Who you got?
Oh, man. All right. I gotta leave Detroit out of this. Just being from Detroit, I gotta leave it out of that.
See, be fair.
Oh man,
you have to be fair. I found it hard to be fair too.
I mean, even with putting that aside, I think Detroit would have locked up Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Just because how intense they were. They had a streak of keeping teams under 70. They had teams that keeping from being able to score 70. So I would say just that one team and the consistency. I'm Detroit on that one. Even not putting Detroit aside, I'm still rolling with Detroit.
Detroit. Okay, we got Detroit 1-0. Antoine, what say you?
Man, I got the Bulls, man. They had the squad, bro. The way they had Pippen, they had Rodman. Like, I think they would have got the job done. The Chicago, man.
All right, 1-1. Princeton, you're up.
This is tough, but I think I got to go with the Bulls as well. I think when you have a matchup like that where it's close, you just give it to the team with the better player, and Michael Jordan's the better player.
All right, Dwayne.
I'm gonna let the 2004 NBA Finals answer this question. There were four guys that could dominate. There were four guys who could dominate the Pistons, and it was a 5-game sweep. The 2004 Pistons would have had an equal challenge against the Bulls. The Pistons could decimate the triangle. The Pistons were younger, fresher, and deeper than the 96 Bulls. The 96 Bulls played a lot of great competition. It wasn't an expansion year for those 72 wins. Not saying that is the reason why they did it. But when we have to look at the total body of work the Pistons did. Not just Nike commercials, not just ESPN highlights. The Pistons went to work. They may not have been able to tire out Jordan, but they could have tired out that starting five. The Pistons' second five is very underrated. I think they're deeper, fresher, younger, and more aggressive. I'm going to go with 04 Pistons.
04 Pistons. This is awesome. 2 matchups, 2 ties. Adam, based off of your reaction on some of what other people were saying, I think I know where you're going to go with this, but you have pressure on your shoulders, and it doesn't seem like it's much pressure at all to decide the winner of this one. Who you got?
No, it's not pressure at all. I mean, there's just too much there for Chicago. I mean, Detroit was a great team, no doubt about it. But I mean, you just can't get away from what Jordan did. I mean, and I'm not just talking, and I'm not this huge Michael Jordan fan. It's just when you look back, because when it was all happening, I wasn't that into it, but looking back on it, it's like, man, that was historic stuff that was happening. The level of competition that those teams played against, and to achieve 6 championships is phenomenal. And looking at the matchups, I just don't see how Detroit is gonna pull it out. I just don't see it. It's Chicago.
All right. So now we move on to the championship. Now we're going to scramble it a little bit. Adam, you had a chance to break a tie. Alvin, you had a chance to break a tie. We're going to give that possible opportunity to someone else this round. So, Adam, let's start with you. Championship, the Bulls versus the Warriors.
Bulls. I think Golden. Don't get me wrong. Golden State is a great team. They got great shooters. Steph can't play no defense. So who they going to put him on?
BJ Armstrong.
Yeah. Okay. But what if they're playing the team that ain't got BJ on it? I mean, it's you got six years of guys to choose from here, 6 different teams to choose from. And it's I just don't see it. And yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I'm not saying that it ain't close, but
no, you said them 3 times, Adam. You said them 3 times. You said Bulls. It is not.
It is. I mean, I'll say it goes 4-2. 4-2
Okay.
Bulls.
I think it goes 4-3. I think it goes 4-3. I'm not even going to say who I think is going to win, but here's the thing: Michael Jordan played against a lot of inferior 2 guards, in my opinion. There were a few elite 2 guards like your Clyde Drexlers, but you're talking Klay Thompson against Michael Jordan. Now, Klay Thompson has the ability. Don't have to be scared, but Michael Jordan didn't have to play Michael Jordan played a lot of off-ball defense. That's how he was able to get the steals. That's how he was able to get the blocks. You can't leave Clay alone. You can't leave Andre Iguodala alone if Iguodala's in the game. You couldn't even leave Sean Livingston alone if Sean Livingston was in the game. So those three right there, rotating in and off Jordan and possibly Pippen. But I don't think that Draymond Green would really have a problem checking Scottie Pippen, to be honest. He'd probably catch another headache, or he'd have like a cramp or some other excuse. But matchups definitely creates intrigue. And like you stated, the Bulls would have to scramble in order to get those matchups. All of that stuff is really on those last two championships that Golden State won. You could even take Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant could check Michael Jordan. Klay Thompson could check Scottie Pippen. So, yeah, they probably would go ahead and maybe slow Steph down a little bit on the offensive end. There's too many weapons on Golden State. And I'm not taking anything away from the Bulls because they had Rodman and Tony Kukoc, Ron Harper. They had some great versatility within their lineups, too. Golden State is a great two-way team.
All right, so we got one for the Bulls. Alvin, you're up, sir. Alvin, you're on mute. All right, we're going to move back away from Alvin. Alvin, you're on mute, sir. If you can unmute yourself. Princeton, who you got?
I think I just want to let everybody here know, everybody who's live on Facebook know, 3 is more than 2. I don't know if people might have forgot that, but 3 is a greater number than 2. And that's how the Warriors win, from 3. Also, Warriors, I don't necessarily agree with some of the statements you said, Adam, especially Steph not being great defensively. I mean, no, he's not the best defender on the team. Doesn't have to be the best defender on the team. They have tons of defenders on that team. I think the Warriors were actually – their offense was so great that you kind of could underrate their defense. But when you have someone like Kevin Durant, a 7-footer, who they sometimes put him at center, but with the ability that he has, Kevin Durant was even underrated defensively. There were people saying during that time that he could have even got Defensive Player of the Year. Like, after Oklahoma, he really stepped up his game defensively, blocks, steals, rebounds, the whole package. So the whole, like, the Bulls will just score all over him, I really don't see it. Yeah, the Bulls have Jordan. They do have Jordan, but Clay, a phenomenal defender. Draymond, a phenomenal defender. I think the Warriors will win in switches. They would probably switch everything and just tire them out. So ultimately, I would give it to the Warriors, and I don't think it would be close, to be honest. I think the Warriors would run them over.
So we got 1-1 tied up. Alvin, welcome back, sir. What you got?
Right. Hey, I would definitely have to go with the Warriors 4-2. I mean, just to the point where the main pieces on Chicago could be canceled out, and you still got one left over, and the Warriors. And anybody can give you 40 points at any point in time from the Warriors. Any one of the main 3 can give you 40 easy with a snap of a finger. They'll throw up 40 and you wouldn't even know it. They'll do it quietly because everybody else is still working. You know, other than Scottie and Michael, like I say, you go let Jordan do what he do because you can't really stop it. You just gotta let it and contain everybody else. And I mean, you go ahead and shut down Jordan. Mostly it's gonna be all on Pippen. Who else really gonna step up to compete? You still got other people left on Golden State that play defense and can still score. So I just say, like I say, you got 2 superstars on one side, you got 3 on the other side. So I'm just going with the numbers, and I'm still gonna say the Warriors.
All right, so we got 2-1 Warriors. Wayne, what you got?
Man, I love it. I want to start by saying I love how the Bulls pickers are sticking with the 96 team. You have to keep in mind about all the Bulls championships. You have to factor in the aging. You have to factor in fatigue. Jordan said, we saw the last dance, Jordan said, hey, look, I'm not feeling this as much. We're going to try to do what we can. I don't think Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green and Thompson are thinking about rest and fatigue. They're out there making it happen. Another strong factor is Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr knows that Bulls team. He knows the triangle offense. He knows how to coach against that. And then you have Kevin Durant. Let's be honest with ourselves. Who on the Bulls team is going to shut Kevin Durant down? A 7-foot person that can run and shoot. Rodman can play some great D. But okay, if Rodman's going to be like, well, he can't dunk on me, but I can't stop his shot. Jordan's going to say he can't dunk on me, but I can't swipe him. So Golden State is very deep, very young, very fresh. And we forget about Andre Iguodala. He's a difference maker off the bench. Who off of the bench in the Bulls is going to stop Andre Iguodala? I got to go with the Warriors.
Wow. Okay, that's 3 for the Warriors. Real quick, Antoine, it's mathematically impossible at this point for the Bulls to win. We are going to get your pick, but before we get that, someone on Facebook said Rodman would have Draymond Green and Kevin Durant going crazy.
Yes.
But, Antoine, what you got? Who you picking in this matchup?
Man, I'm sorry, Michael Jordan, man. I bought a lot of your shoes, man, but I gotta give it to I gotta give it to the Warriors, bro. That's Warriors all day. Like I said, they're gonna wear them down. They're gonna wear them down.
I can't believe you guys. I cannot believe you guys.
I'm sorry, man.
You guys act like Jordan don't play defense, or Pippen don't play defense, or Robin don't play defense, and none of these guys can check any of your guys, because they can. They'll check every one of them and shut every one of them down. They don't have to score all day long. They'll shut them down.
Mr. 313, I'm gonna just say this right here. I'm in and out. If they can shut down LeBron, they're gonna shut down Jordan.
Shut it down.
Oh my God! So we know where you're going as far as who's the greatest player, who the GOAT is. You're saying LeBron is.
You know what? I'll put it this way. To the point that Adam made, Adam, are they playing all 48 minutes? Because they could shut down all of the starters, but when those boys come out to rest, now you got Iguodala, you got
Hey, you know what? That's when coaching comes into play, and you want to put that. You can put Phil Jackson against Steve Kerr all day long, and Steve Kerr knows that offense. I don't care, man. Phil Jackson's the fucking guru. I mean, he's the man. He knows what he's doing. So.
So does Steve Kerr, who learned under the Phil Jackson tree, and he's also ran the triangle offense. So are you telling me with this insight of the triangle offense that he wouldn't be able to break that down?
Unless you're saying Steve Kerr has now eclipsed Phil Jackson. No, I don't think that he's eclipsed Phil Jackson. So
no.
So I'm taking that team.
I agree. Phil Jackson probably in terms of coaches is probably the GOAT.
I will say this though, it's no coincidence that the Warriors team that had Steph Curry, had Clay, I think they already had Draymond too. Went from, I believe they made it to either the second round the year before they got to the chip. It's no coincidence that when Steve Kerr came, they were able to make it all the way. That doesn't just happen. They had
Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson could have coached that team. I disagree. Mark Jackson had them boys well underway.
Yeah.
Mark Jackson had them boys ready. I could have stepped in as the coach
under Mark Jackson.
I'm sorry. What was that?
Who's Ron Harper going to stop? I want to know who is Ron Harper going to lock down?
Pick one.
At that stage of his career, Ron Harper's not locking anybody down. Ron Harper is probably.
That's for sure.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's not even going to. Well, I think he still had enough in the tank where he could slow somebody down.
Man, he'll slow Steph down. He'll slow Steph down. Steph ain't got no killer. He ain't got no Tim Hardaway crossover or nothing. It ain't like he's trying to stop something like that.
All right, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna jump in here real quick.
He ain't got no killer crossover.
Hey, locking him up from half court.
The council has spoken 4-1. The greatest organization since the 80s is the 15, 17, 18 Warriors. So kudos to them. And thank you to the council for clearing that up, kinda. But great discussion afterwards. Y'all got Facebook Live buzzing. I'll tell y'all right now.
Man, 5 of them dudes are on crack. 5 of these guys are on crack.
Finally, I'm clean.
I know this basketball. Okay. Somebody else, man. It's cool though.
Oh my goodness.
Right, Adam, I got a special message from you.
I got
a special message for you. Someone on Facebook Live just said Adam Bresler is on crack.
That was cool with me. That was cool with me. I love you, Robbie. You cool with me, man. You all right.
So we're moving on to the next portion, and that is to talk about the ESPN top 10 list. Once again, now this is what I read. A lot of questions was asked. How did they determine who their top 10 was? And this is what I saw. It said ESPN's NBA expert panel voted on thousands of head-to-head matchups, taking into consideration both total career value and peak performance. That's the only thing that I was able to identify as how they determine who's in their top 10. So before we get to that top 10, I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at 11 through 74, but is there anything that sticks out to you that you guys think someone may have been snubbed, even if it was one spot? It doesn't mean someone was ranked 50 and they should have been number 3. If they were ranked 50 and they should have been 48, is there anything that stuck out to you? Princeton, I saw a finger up. What you got?
You already know what I'm going to say.
I already know. Where's Carmelo Anthony ranked on this list, sir?
I'm not saying top 10. I'm not saying top 20. Maybe I'm not saying that, but I saw Damian Lillard on the list over Carmelo Anthony.
So where's the lies there, sir?
At this point, this is like it's crazy. The disrespect. It's disrespectful.
So do you remember where Carmelo is ranked?
No, I don't remember where he was. I didn't see him on the top 74 list that they came out with.
He wasn't.
No.
Wow.
And that's unacceptable.
Yeah,
unacceptable.
That is unacceptable. When you got a one-way player like Dennis Rodman at what, number 62, and you leave a guy off like Carmelo Anthony. Yeah.
Who's a one-way player.
Yeah.
He's just the other way.
He's the other way, though. He's the other way,
Issues.
But
you know what, though, Adam? I get what you're saying there, but I will say this, though. And
I mean, look at James Harden. James Harden's a one-way player.
Dennis Rodman could score, though. He wasn't putting up 20 points, but he
put up 8.
Could score.
Carmelo could defend. Carmelo got a rebound. That's like saying, well, he's just out. He wasn't just out on the court.
So you're right. James Harden is there. Carmelo, I definitely think should be in the top 74. So he is snubbed there. I agree on that one. Where would you think he should be ranked, Princeton? Around where?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't go too far outside of the top 10 into the list to place exactly where he would be. So I'd have to look further into that. But I mean, come on, Damian Lillard ahead of him, above Damian Lillard.
Okay, fair enough. Anybody else? Anybody else see any snubs? I got a couple I'm going to talk on too. But anyone else got any snubs?
How they treat Isaiah.
I think Isaiah should have been ranked higher. They got Nash. They got Nash in front of him. Nash.
I think Stockton ahead of him too. Yeah, Stockton. Slightly ahead
Stockton.
of him. Those two guys. First of all, no chips. That's my thing. In the event of a close call, and I don't even think it's even close between Isaiah and Nash and Stockton. Not saying that they're not great. Stockton has his 2 MVPs. One of them I say was a sympathy MVP because they just didn't want to give it to Shaq again. Stockton and Malone, great. Sorry that they didn't win any chips, but I just can't see Isaiah being less than a top 25 player of all time. And to have him anywhere near 30, he should minimum be 25. Allen Iverson is another example of somebody who I think was
he's 29. He's 29. Right. It's funny you guys brought up Isaiah because Isaiah, I actually took down his stats. He's ranked number 31. Ahead of him, number 30 was Steve Nash. Here's the comparison. Isaiah, 2-time NBA champion. Nash, 2-time MVP. Points, 19.2 to 14.3. 9.3 assists to 8.5 assists. I don't get. I mean, statistically, Isaiah's better than Nash.
He's better all the way around.
Exactly. So that's definitely a snub.
Nash is another guy that can't play no defense. He plays no defense.
I agree.
Nobody. We should not even be mad about this bullshit poll because it's built on a panel of, hey, mommy, can I put my Pop-Tarts in the microwave and watch ESPN and Facebook highlights? or we had to look at a fucking newspaper. We had to grab a motherfucking flyer and change the channel to watch Isaiah Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So we had to miss a game or two or three. All the playoff games are televised. So they're looking at, well, LeBron, that's the reason why LeBron's number 2 over Kareem.
Let's not even talk about
We'll get to the top 10. We'll get to the top 10 in a second. We're gonna get there. What about anything else in that top one? One I'm gonna throw out, Eric. You mentioned it. Allen Iverson. He's ranked 29. Ahead of him, just some of the players that's ranked ahead of him that I feel shouldn't be. John Stockton at 28. Giannis. Giannis is a great talent, but right now he should not be ahead of Allen Iverson, in my opinion. He's 27. Dwayne Wade at 26. Kawhi Leonard at 25. How many games has Kawhi actually played in? That's all I know. Right? Load management. That's all you hear with him. And 23, David Robinson. I think Iverson should be ahead of all of them. What do you guys think?
Yes. I agree. Even though he didn't win a championship, it wasn't Allen Iverson's fault.
D-Wade, the only one that wouldn't say.
Yeah, I wouldn't say D-Wade.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can make a case for Dwayne Wade. Well, Kawhi still – see, the thing is that with a lot of these players, like the younger players, I guess the jury is still out on them. Giannis, he's been in the league like 5 years. So, Kawhi is proven. He's got, multiple championships. Led a Toronto team that probably had no business winning a championship to a championship, defensive MVP. So, Kawhi has credentials. I think maybe it's a little bit too soon giving him top 25 status. But Kawhi is definitely on his way, and they probably would have at least been at the conference finals, if not won another championship, had the COVID-19 set in. So D-Wade, I think D-Wade has earned a spot. He's got multiple rings. I have no problem with that. David Robinson, that's kind of a tough one. David Robinson, who do you replace David Robinson with, though? He's got multiple championships, too, with that Spurs team. So Iverson should be bumped up, but the Wades, the David Robinsons, and the Kawhis, you could make a place. You can make a case for Iverson there.
All right. Another one I had that stuck out to me, in my opinion, KD at 14 and Steph at 13. First of all, I love both those guys, but I don't think Steph should be ahead of KD, first of all.
No.
And second of all, KD should be, in my opinion, and I can't say exactly where he should be in top 10, in my opinion. What you guys think on that?
Yeah, I'll agree.
It's
a lot of people.
Kevin Durant.
Better player than Larry Bird. Career-wise, talent-wise. I mean, yes, Bird can't dunk. But if I'm trying to win a basketball game and win a basketball championship, and Bird has showed his pedigree, Durant still has time to go. So I'm contradicting myself and congratulating myself at the same time. Kevin Durant is a top 10 player, but not yet.
Fair enough.
What puts Steph so high is the fact that I almost want to say, I don't even think it's an argument that he's the greatest shooter ever. And when you're the greatest at something in basketball, I think you have to be put high on a list like that. And he also changed the game. Like how the Warriors, I said, changed the game, him specifically, the way the game is played. He stretches the floor out so far. It almost – he adds another element to it, along with he brings other things to the table, like his handles, his assists. He can do it all. Now, I'm not saying that I could see Kevin Durant being ahead of him. I think Kevin Durant probably should have been ahead of him, but Steph is – he's a two-time MVP, unanimous MVP for a reason. It was when the stuff he was doing at the time, nobody had ever seen that before. Nobody was pulling up at practically half court, hitting threes, and, that wasn't a bad shot. That's a shot you got to guard him.
So real quick on Facebook, we got a couple of people that made a comment. Mr. 313 said not another championship for Kawhi. They also said KD is no top 10. Steph is because of unanimous MVP. That list is on crack too. Their criteria is whack. So we got Adam Bresler, and the list is on crack today. Got it. Keep the comments coming. All right, so let's talk about that top 10. Let's talk about that top 10 according to ESPN, and let's see if they got it right. We got number 10, Shaq. Number 9, Kobe. Number 8, Tim Duncan. Number 7, Larry Bird. Number 6, Wilt Chamberlain. Number 5, Magic Johnson. Number 4, Bill Russell. Number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Number 2, LeBron James. And number 1, Michael Jordan. So what do you guys say? Alvin, let's hear from you first. What do you think about this top 10 list, and what would you change?
I mean, the 10 can be okay, but that order is like, there's no way that LeBron's number 2 and Kobe is 9. Like, it's not happening. Bill Russell, Bill Russell, the most chips ever, yeah. But a lot of this shit, I can't give you the, that high. You gotta be like at the bottom of the 10. I mean, like I say, for the most part, it's right, but Kobe is definitely up there. Like, Tim Duncan, my man. I think Tim Duncan probably like 4. Tim Duncan was essential. But like I say, I can agree with the 10. It's just the order of the 10, but that's splitting hairs at that point. But it's just some things like I just don't see LeBron as a number 2 player ever.
All right, so someone asked for us to give the criteria, so I'm going to go over that again. And they also said they wanted to personally thank you, Alvin. They said thank you for saying that. So as far as the criteria, what the ESPN list said, the only thing that we were able to find is it said ESPN's NBA expert panel voted on thousands of head-to-head matchups, taking into consideration both total career value and peak performance. I think that's very valuable to know what they're basing it off of, because it's kind of hard to compare some of the players. I can speak for myself. When it comes to the Wilt Chamberlains of the world, the Bill Russells of the world, I didn't see them play. Only thing I can go off of is stats. And stats is valuable. Bill Russell, to your point, Alvin, he averaged 22.6 rebounds in his career. That's amazing. That's amazing. He's got 11 championships.
Who is he going against?
But look where you're doing against.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Look where you're doing.
That's true.
22 again.
Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, he wasn't going against.
No. See now, okay. I'm glad. I was ready for that question. Bill Russell played from 1956 to 1969. Kareem came into the league in 1969, so they only played one season against each other. Wilt Chamberlain was in the league from 59 to 73. So Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell definitely had battles, but Kareem wasn't part of that. So in the top 10, we only have 2 players to compare against, and that's Wilt and Bill as far as the older generation. Now, I know looking at everyone, it looks like Antoine may have been alive back then to see Wilt play. So, Antoine, was you in the audience when he scored 100?
Man, I was front row, man. He even gave me a high five when that 100 point. Never forget that. I ain't washed my hands since.
Oh, that's where COVID-19 came from.
I was just about to say, let me get my mask. Let me get my mask. All right, just getting real up in here. Now Wilt's numbers, it's impressive too, but once again, what was the talent like at that time? 30 points a game, 22 rebounds, 6 championships. Alvin, I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm okay with the top 10. I really am. The order is definitely leaves something to desire. Dwayne, what you got? What you want to chime in on?
The one thing that concerns me is Kobe 9 and LeBron 2.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan cut from a cloth of, I'm going to play hurt. I'm going to play sick. I'm going to play to win at all costs. You want to be my friend? Great. If you don't want to be my friend, great. LeBron takes games off. He wants to be everybody's friend. And he wants you to take turns winning championships and go into different teams to do so. I never heard Michael Jordan, yes, he also bitched about things and wanted to get traded. And Kobe also bitched about things and wanted to get traded. But once they got out of their feelings, they hit that motherfucking score. It's all she wrote. LeBron, James at number 2. And the worst Stephen A. Smith is a fucking Travis.
I mean, so let me ask you a question real quick. I'm going to go around the table real quick. So Alvin, Dwayne, you both said LeBron James should not be number 2. Adam, do you think LeBron James should be number 2?
No.
Princeton,
No.
do you think LeBron James should be number 2?
No. No.
Okay. Antoine, should LeBron James be number 2?
Nah, but he number 3. I tell you that.
He's number 3. Okay. So he's definitely not number 2. So, Eric, I shouldn't even have to ask you, and I know I don't. LeBron James, is he number 2?
Hell no.
All right. This is what I'll say.
No, LeBron shouldn't be number 2.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. If this was a list of the greatest man, the greatest human being in the history of the NBA, then yeah, he's going to be up there. Number 1, number 2, whatever. All the things that he does with his platform, I love, respect him. But what has he done on the court? And that's what we're talking about right now. What has he done on the court to be deserving of number 2?
He scored 8 points in the NBA Finals game. He was great. Yes, I got it. Yes, I got it right. Yes.
My thing is this. The people say what Michael Jordan stands out is that he has the killer instinct. He'll take over a game. He's willing to score it all. And where LeBron is different is that, you know, he's more of an assist guy. He makes everyone better around him, and that's what makes him not Jordan, but he's right there. But to me, like, he doesn't make everyone around him better.
He doesn't.
It's been proven he makes them worse. You've seen star players come from another team, come to play with LeBron, and then when they play with LeBron, they're turned into you're a corner shooter now. Hope you can make shots in the corner because that's all you're going to be doing. We're not playing together. You're going to be in the corner shooting threes. That's what people do when they play with LeBron. He doesn't make them better.
So 2 of you 5 said this, and we're going to get to Adam, Princeton, and Antoine about your top 10, what you think on this. But I'm just going to make one point here. 2 people said that Kobe should be ahead of LeBron. All right, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'll say this. MJ and Kobe had one thing in common, other things, but they had one thing in common. They both had the killer instinct. They're not going to let no one control their fate. They're going to take it in their hands. They're going to put you on their back, and they're going to do that. There's one thing that LeBron and Jordan have in common. They both wear number 23. Adam, let's talk about your top 10. What do you think?
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. It's tough. It's you know, when I sat down and actually started thinking about it, because I've always said a certain way, but when you actually sit down and look at the top 10 guys and you start evaluating it really is, you know. And I was talking to my son about this earlier, and people think that just because it's a ball and everybody gets to dribble it and pass it, that each position's the same, and they're so different. I mean, you know, it's the same difference between a left fielder and a catcher. I mean, it's different, you know, and so to put guys like Kareem against Jordan or Chamberlain against LeBron, I mean, it's hard to compare them together because they even did it in the late 80s or early 90s, and they actually had a one-on-one game with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Dr. J, and Jabbar killed him like he should. You know, I mean, he absolutely destroyed him because all he had to do was back him down and he could recover for defense. It was just too easy. And that's what's going to happen against any of these guys, except a guy that's big enough that can go 2 ways, like a Kevin Durant could compete against a smaller guy or a bigger guy, you know. But that don't bring him into the number 1 slot. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I mean, and I think everybody tends to overlook the era of Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain because those 2 guys were so dominant in what they did that even the Hall of Famers from that era are like way down from them, you know, because those 2 guys dominated them. But if those 2 guys weren't there, then what would you have in that era? You know, somebody in each era is always going to be the best, you know? And I mean, honestly, Bill Russell didn't make my top 10. And I got Kevin Durant at number 10, and I got Olajuwon at number 9. But you know, that's another one of those things where I feel like today the way today's game's played, people tend to forget what 7-footers could do back in the day, and what a real center's skills, how a real center's skills could actually dominate a game. And that's why I have Wilt at number 1, because nobody's averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds a game. And the one season that they did keep stats on Wilt and block shots, he averaged 8.8 blocks a game. He's the only center in the history of the NBA to lead the league in assists at 8.4 or something like that. He owns something like 80 to 90 records still, and he hasn't played in the league in almost 50 years now, and he still owns 80 records in the NBA. I don't know how you can't. And people like to put in championships. Man, championships are coaches and organizations and teammates, and so much other stuff plays a part in that. But we're talking about the greatest of all time, the best basketball player skills of all time. And I mean, they changed the rules for Wilt, you know? I mean, Wilt started talking about how he was going to start jumping from the free throw line for free throws. And that's why the rule got implemented that you can't cross over the free throw line if you're the shooter until the ball hits the rim. That was instituted because of Wilt, you know? And I mean, just so many things that Wilt altered the game in. He just changed too many things. I do have, I got, you know, Durant, Hakeem, Duncan.
Hang on 1 second, Adam. Excuse me for jumping in. This is very important. Someone on Facebook Live actually gave you a list of names, and I have to address it. So therefore, it sounded like you was about to get into your list. They want to hear Adam Bresler's top 10 crack list. So they want to hear it. So go ahead and drop it to him, please.
Okay. Well, I can't remember which one of y'all voted against me. I think it was everybody. So we got 5 of y'all right here is in my top 10 of crackheads.
They followed it up, Adam, by just saying a man who removes a shoe to show off his rings isn't in the top 10. Adam's on hard Mary J and crack and coke.
Hey, what can I say? The guy just he had too many other teammates.
I'm so glad you're wearing pants. Keep going.
That supported. I mean, Bill Russell played with 16 Hall of Famers. He played with 16 Hall of Famers and played with 5 to 6, and I think maybe even 7 at a time during championship runs. So if a guy's playing with 5, 6, 7 Hall of Famers, then it's more than just what he's doing, you know. So, you know, yeah, he's number 11. What can I say?
All right, so who's your top 10 now, Adam? You were going through that. You had number 10.
Yeah, I got Durant at 10, Hakeem, Duncan, LeBron, Kobe, Larry, Kareem, Magic, Jordan, and Wilt. And I will say, I struggled with Kareem and Magic, but Kareem, actually no, I struggled a bit with Wilt and Magic, but here's another little snippet for y'all. Go and watch a clip of Larry Brown talking about a 42-year-old Wilt Chamberlain playing pickup games at UCLA in 1982 with Magic Johnson, and how a foul was, Magic called the foul, and Wilt said, "All right, you're going to call that then ain't no more shots getting made on this basket. And for the next hour, not another single shot got made on that basket on Wilt. And that's a 42-year-old Wilt. So, and that's a Larry Brown story. That ain't a Wilt Chamberlain story.
42-year-old Wilt, I still got a chance.
You know,
He probably could have.
And the other thing that a lot of people aren't familiar with was the fact that Wilt Chamberlain was also considering becoming a decathlete. He could run the quarter mile in 49 seconds. He could run the 100 in under 11. He could shot put 55 feet. He could triple jump 50 feet. These are all world-class marks that he's putting up. He could run the 800 in under 2 minutes. Even Al Order, four-time Olympian, four-time gold medalist in the shot put, said Wilt Chamberlain could compete in this if he decided to in the Olympics. Listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about how strong he was when he was lifting with him, and how Wilt would show up and he would be lifting the weights that everybody else was warming up with in the gym, including Arnold. You know, he was a man among boys when he was playing, and just as a human being altogether, you know, and his basketball IQ is way higher than people give him credit for, and that plays a big part to me in this list. It is not just your performance, but your basketball IQ and how well you can adapt your game. Because later in his career, his coaches would even tell you, I mean, just go back and watch interviews, and they'll talk about how we're telling Wilt to do this. This is what we're asking of him now, and that's why his scoring was way down, but his blocks and his rebounds stayed high.
Who was the defensive player of the year around those times? Did they even record that?
I don't think they had a defensive player of the year back then. It didn't get established.
I don't think so either.
Until the 80s, I don't think.
Right.
But I mean, he just did too many things that you don't see a 7'1" guy do. You know, I mean, yeah, he doesn't look like Kevin Durant dribbling the ball. Yeah, he doesn't. He looks like a big man dribbling the ball. But tell me, in somebody in today's game that can stop him, you know, Joel Embiid might have the best chance, and he ain't even going to do it. The best guy that could have stopped him was Hakeem, that is closest to this generation. Him and Jabbar actually battled, and they went back and forth. But that was a young Jabbar and an old Wilt.
All right, Adam. So we do get the fact that you think that Wilt is the greatest of all time. So I think that we've all gotten to know Wilt a little better. But I do want somebody else to chime in, though. So just to kind of sum it up, you think that Wilt's number one, and we already got, you know, the rest of your top 10 list that's been rearranged. So we definitely appreciate that. Who haven't we got yet? So we've heard from Adam.
So
Mr. Wallace
up next.
Princeton's up next. All right, Princeton, let's hear your biased opinion other than Carmelo Anthony's snubbed from the top 74. Let's see who you got.
Carmelo number one. I'm just kidding.
Okay, where's that mute button?
Get him out of here.
No, I think like a list like this, it's hard to go off of just stats alone and championships. I mean, I think there's a lot of things you can't judge off of a player from just looking at those. Like we were talking about the other day, James. There's the intangibles, the stuff that you don't. The way you could see it is by actually watching the players, things they bring to the table. Like, you could underrate a guy like Draymond Green, for example, if you just looked at his stats. But that just goes to say, talent, it gets better and better as the years go by. That's why you see Olympic records being broken as the years go by, world records being broken. I think the NBA is more talented now than it was decades ago. And I feel like Wilt Chamberlain, as great as he was, Bill Russell, as great as he was, as they say they were, I feel like their numbers were inflated. Like, they were giants. They were giants playing against people who were less athletic, not as tall as they were. Of course, you were dominated. If you're the only person who's above 7 foot, you're gonna dominate. You just pass the ball to them, and
let me chime in on that. The average height of a center today is 6'11". The average height of a center back then was 6'10". It's 1 inch. The average height of an NBA player back then was 6'5" to 6'6". The average player today is 6'7". Not big enough of a difference to be talking about size difference. Athletically,
I was going to say that's true for just the highlights, but it's an athletic thing as well. Today, a lot more people have access to facilities to practice from a lot younger age. You see people starting at 6, 7 years old who are already training to be in the NBA, and they already have access to these things. You see people are a lot more skilled. I feel like the talent that once you reach the NBA these days, the odds are stacked against you, to say the least. In the NBA, it's all about having 3 stars. That's what they say, the big 3. That's what it is. When you're a player, you practically on a weekly basis, you're going against teams stacked with 3 other stars. So it's going to be hard to average 20 rebounds when you're going against all these other great players, except in a time back then when you could be freaking Bill Russell could pass the ball off the rim to himself for all we know, rack up some stats, and then score it. Like, there we go, pat those stats. Like, I have a hard time.
So like Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I have a hard time putting them so highly when I just feel like these guys, I'm not taking away from how athletic these guys were, how much of a beast they were. I just think they were athletic beasts against a bunch of people who weren't anywhere near their talent level.
Right.
Yeah, against a bunch of people who weren't their talent level. And now,
let me ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Princeton. Let me ask you this question. So you grew up in the 90s, so you did catch the end of the Jordan era, and you caught obviously the LeBron era.
Right.
So tell me something. So based on no, hold on, because his opinion is as important as everybody else. So let's give him a chance to speak. According to your eye test, and what you know about Michael Jordan, is Michael Jordan number 1? Yes or no?
I put Jordan number 1.
Is LeBron number 2?
No.
Okay. And is Kareem number 3 based on what you know?
I can't say that. I can't say that.
Okay. So based on your eye test, ignore the ESPN. Based on your eye test, who's your top 3?
That's tough. I mean, all I can go off based on, like I said, I don't want to just go off of stats and rings and.
No, your eye test.
Putting Jordan at 1.
Okay.
Who's 2?
I'm gonna go with Duncan at 2.
Okay.
And then 3. That's a tough one too. But if I had to go by just my eye test, I'd give that one to Kobe.
Okay. All right,
so it's interesting your eye test goes number 2 to a guy that don't blink, but that's fine though. It's all right. I can't trust a man that don't blink. We got something else here. Someone said, Mr. 313. Someone said Mr. 313 is interrogating the young man.
That's fine. It's called
crowd control. It was called crowd control.
It was a good question.
All right, Alvin, let's come to you next, sir. And then Dwayne, we're going to come to you. And then Antoine going to finish us out on this. And then Eric, we definitely want to hear your opinion on this list as well. So, Alvin, what you got, sir?
What we doing? Top 3? I'm sorry.
So just your overall impression of the top 10. What would you change? If you want to provide your top 3, that works too.
Well, what I would change from the current top 10. So number 1, definitely Jordan. Number 2, I gotta give to Kobe. And number 3, I mean, shit, Adam didn't influence me, so number 3, pretty much brainwashed me with all the facts. I gotta roll.
He officially got you on crack too, so he got us all on crack.
So you got Wilt 3 is what you're saying now?
Yeah. For sake of conversation, because I gotta have an old school player. I can't just automatically just give all, because like I say, it is kind of, that's why I wanted to know. That's why I asked Adam, like, who was the defensive player of the year. I was pretty sure they didn't have, record that at that time, but that's still kind of important though. Like, it was all impressive. So he wasn't doing it against no, no Rodmans, no Draymonds, no, no Dwight Howards. I'm just saying defensive players, like, who would have stopped that? Like, it wasn't that, but I still got to give Wilt his props just off of dominating and doing what he did for that time frame. It wouldn't have been that currently, but we can't take that. We can't take him from back then and put him now. So, but off what he did, I give him 3. So I gotta go Jordan 1, Kobe 2, and Wilt number 3.
It's kind of hard to argue that 30 points a game, 22 rebounds, 4.5 assists. As a big man, it's kind of hard to argue that. So, all right, cool. Dwayne, your top 3, who are they? You on mute too. We're reading your lips, sir. We can't hear you.
Shit, my bad. All right.
There you go.
So, wow, the innovation of a mute button. Who'd have thought it? So I got Jordan number 1 because of his impact, what he brought to the game, what he did, his work ethic. Kobe number 2 because he emulated that probably closer to any other competitor in any era.
Right.
Rule changes. Now, yes, I get it. Wilt and Bill Russell played in a thinner lane. That wasn't their fault. That's what the game called for, without a 3-point line. So Steph Curry, while I respect this game, cannot be put against certain players and players cannot be punished for not having a 3-point line. If Jerry West had a 3-point line, is he a worse shooter than Steph Curry? I don't think so. But digress. My number 3 is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. 20 years, averaging 20 points a game, not ever sitting on a bench, staying healthy, starting, is still looking healthy, is always underestimated because just like Tim Duncan, he's not being rewarded because he's not jumping over the place, having social media posts for Taco Tuesday, and being celebrated by the world on a daily basis based on ESPN and social media. When it comes to the meat and bones of this game of basketball, I want to win a basketball game, and it's cold outside, it's coronavirus outside, I'm sick as fuck. These 3 players, I'm going to grab on my team every single time if I want to win a basketball game.
So you mean to tell me Kareem didn't experience load management?
Management, we call that a motherfucking excuse.
Hey,
earn money. I don't give a fuck. Oh no, you know what, Adam? I'm going to let you speak. Go ahead.
Hey, that's another thing as far as load management goes. On Wilt averaged 45 minutes a game for his entire career. 45 minutes a game. He did what the coaches called for.
Oh my God. So
wow.
LeBron James is better than Wilt Chamberlain because he didn't do that, or because he scored 8 points in the NBA Finals game. Which one is?
I'm just talking about how durable he is, and he doesn't need load management.
I think it's the fact.
No, Adam, I was saying that to agree with you.
Yeah,
I think LeBron is number 2 because he's the first player, coach, general manager ever. That's what I think it is.
He's the first player.
How you get credit for being a general manager as a player?
Kobe. Now, LeBron James, what makes him he was the greatest high school basketball player that ever played. He lived up to the hype. He lived up and exceeded expectations better than any other player. LeBron James was a much better high school basketball player than Michael Jordan was in high school. He had a better high school career than Kareem did by a little margin. But so I know I can name 80 other players that average 27 points a game. I can name 80 other players that average 8 assists and 8 rebounds all at the same time. Because of when LeBron did his initial height, and because he maintained a plateau of his statistical, that doesn't necessarily make him the greatest of all time. Impressive, yes. Greatest, no.
Antoine, I've been hearing from you for a few days now about your top 10 list, and he's warned me. He didn't tell me what he got, but he warned me, so I can't wait to hear this one. Listeners, if you're still out there, cue the music. Go ahead, Antoine. What you got?
Hold on, man. Hold on. Let me make sure I got my crack pipe because y'all ain't about to. I'm gonna go ahead and put y'all ain't about to beat me to the. I'm gonna beat y'all to the punch right now. But nah, check this out. Check this out. So the list is solid, man. The list is pretty good, but they just got it scrambled in the wrong way. Number 10, Tim Duncan. Number 9, Shaq. Number 8, Bill Russell. 7, Wilt Chamberlain. 6, Larry Bird. 5, Magic Johnson. Number 4 is Kareem. We got LeBron, number 3. But this might come as a surprise, and I'm gonna go ahead and light my crack.
I hear something coming.
Let me just do a line too, just for the fuck of it. I'm gonna talk to the point. I'm gonna do a line real quick. Number two, I got Greg Oden. Number 2.
You're kidding, right?
All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a good one, guys.
Wait, what's the? Hold on. Where's? It must be April. It's got to be April Fools.
The cocaine is just pure. The cocaine is just pure.
What did he say?
He said number 2. I can't even say the words. Antoine, tell the listeners and the council who number 2 is.
Greg Oden. Greg Oden, number 2. And I got my. And no, I'm not high.
Hey,
I'm not high.
It sounds like you're saying Greg Oden.
Hey,
Greg
Antoine, you just took the top 5 slots of crackheads.
Yeah.
You know what?
You took all 5 slots, man.
There's some good shit.
I think this might be the last episode of the Ear Hustling podcast.
Hey.
All right, so Antoine, I'm gonna humor you. Do you care to explain?
You know why? Because that's where he should have been, but he let us fucking down, man. He let us fucking down, man. He was Ohio State number 1 pick. That's why he should have been. And he looked like LeBron.
Okay. You know what? I just executed my right to mute this man. He is muted. We're not going to hear from him anymore. He had his chance. Here, hold on. We got something from a listener. Antoine Wallace. Adam, I'm sorry, but this guy is. That's all. That's all he said. I'm sorry, this guy is. All right.
That's right. There's nothing to say.
There's nothing to say. I want to drop my headset right now. He's still talking, but we're just going to let him be in his corner. So, Eric, give us your top 3, and what do you think of this top 10 list? Let's pretend that last 3 minutes of the show didn't happen. Go ahead, Eric. What you got?
Ooh, all right. So, first of all, I agree that the top 10 list, in terms of the players, I do like it. The order, I have an issue with. My top 3, got to go with Larry Bird. Larry Bird, everybody talk about athleticism and all this other stuff. Larry Bird was not the most athletic guy in the world. Couldn't jump 2 inches off of the ground, but his basketball intelligence, the way that he was pretty much was like the Mike Tyson of the NBA. He was in your ear and he was talking mad junk before the game even started.
Yeah,
we don't know how Larry.
Talking. I respect his shit talking.
Oh, and I absolutely do too. And like I said, he didn't say anything derogatory about anybody. He'll say something derogatory about you, but he wouldn't get out of line. But Larry Bird's in your head. There was some instances where, like Dominique Wilkins, Michael Jordan, the young high flyers comes into the league. Larry was like, Dominique, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be over there on the right side baseline. I'm going to take 2 dribbles. I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to throw the ball up, and I'm going to run down the other way before the ball reaches the basket.
And he did
that, Dominique, the first 3. I think it was like the first 3 times they gave him the ball, he did the exact same thing. And, Larry Bird, every shot he took, he thought that it was going to go in. It was a surprise to him when it didn't. Underrated defensively, too. Larry Bird, everybody talks about, Magic Johnson, Grant Hill about being like the walking triple doubles. Larry Bird actually was that kind of player too. Larry Bird could give you assists. He could give you points. He could give you rebounds. He didn't mind setting screens. He'd do anything that he needed to do in order to win. Number two, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan get a lot of comparisons. Kobe Bryant won his championships. I would consider minus the championships with Shaq with less talent. But he still had that heart. He still had that desire. For God's sakes, the man scored 60 points in his final game. 60.
I mean, they let him score those.
Yeah.
But
You know what? You can say that, but he still had to shoot. He still had to make it. So you could leave him open. But how many times have we seen people shoot wide open shots and miss? So were they playing a little lax defense? Yeah, but Kobe wasn't just taking layups. Kobe was hitting deep threes. The game was in doubt too. So let's not forget that it was a competitive game. Utah, I believe, had a shot at making the playoffs had they won that game, but Kobe took over. Yeah, so it wasn't just like a game where we're just going to give it to Kobe because there was nothing on the line. Utah had to win that game in order to get into the playoffs. Kobe scored 60 and booted them out of the playoffs. So that was a little bit of an extra bonus for you, the competitive spirit that Kobe Bryant had. And then, obviously Michael Jordan, for so many different reasons, is number one. Me being a Detroit Piston fan, couldn't stand Mike. Couldn't stand Larry Bird for that matter, but I have to respect all three of their games. And just to kind of let you know where LeBron slid in my list, LeBron was number 5.
Awesome.
Yeah, LeBron's number 5. Don't be looking at me like that, Mr. Wallace. Yes, LeBron number 5.
No,
Man,
no.
hey, mute him like y'all did me.
No,
Man,
Greg Oden. Greg Oden.
Yeah, that was a joke, man.
He might as well say Greg Ostertag.
That name on this show, when we're talking about greatest of all time, that name shouldn't even been mentioned. But anyway, so Princeton, a listener on Facebook Live just said that you're anti-Kobe.
that I'm anti-Kobe.
Yes.
But I say I put Kobe at number 3. I'm not anti. I just said one thing about the 60-point game. They gave it to him. But no. I'm not anti-Kobe. I think his like everybody says, he emulated Jordan. He's a beast. I mean, what I like to see in NBA players, what I think makes it interesting is when the opponent's going to double team you and you're willing to take that last shot anyway. And Jordan and Kobe and a few NBA players now are people who are willing to take that. And that's one reason. That's a huge knock I have against LeBron. Like that the fact that in that time, he's going to give it the championships that he has. Ray Allen and Kyrie Irving won him those 2 of those championships. So
what?
Yep.
Yes, they did. They hit the big shots. He didn't hit the big shots. He might have got them to where they could take it, but he didn't hit the big shot.
So here's my top 3.
LeBron, his first one to Dwayne Wade. His second one.
So here's my top 3.
The third one was Kyrie.
Yeah.
I got number 3, Wilt Chamberlain. And I did have him there before Adam. You gave his impressive resume, but you're right. I do have his number 3. Right. And Alvin, I'm with you on this, bro. Number 2 is Kobe. Number 1 is Jordan. In my opinion, there's 3 players in the NBA that are totally cut from the same cloth. My number 4 is Larry Bird. The 3 players that's cut from the same cloth is Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant. Those 3, they're going to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to win the game. I'm only putting Wilt Chamberlain at number 3 because of his impressive resume. Once again, I didn't lay eyes on the guy, but that resume.
But we all know it now.
Not the year Bill Russell retired. Wilt Chamberlain got the gas the year Bill Russell retired. Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain fell out a few years about that. Julius Erving said it best. Julius Erving said that Wilt Chamberlain will beat you in a poker game, but let you take some chips home to get home. Michael Jordan will let you walk home naked to win. Wilt Chamberlain was a great basketball player. When it came to competitive, cutthroat competition, I would just put Kobe, Larry, and Michael in that category with all due respect.
Yep. Fair enough. Well, guys, it's been real. I just want to give 10, 15 seconds to each of you if you have any closing remarks. Everyone except Antoine. If you say that name in your 10 to 15 seconds, I got my finger hovering over the mute button. So, Antoine, why don't you lead us off, man? 10, 15 seconds. Anything you want to say in closing?
Man, I just want to say, man, don't be listening to me, man. My top three, I'm going to clear this up real quick. My top three is LeBron, Kobe, and then Michael, man. Solid.
LeBron number one?
Oh, nah, I can't do that. You from
Oh, okay. It
Ohio,
was
I can't
3,
do
2,
that.
1. It was 3, 2, 1.
Drugs
Okay,
ain't,
you
the
gotta
drugs ain't,
clarify. You gotta clarify. 3, 2,
the
1,
drugs
or
ain't
1,
that
2,
good.
3.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. The drugs ain't that good, bro.
Okay.
LeBron 3, Kobe 2,
just
Michael 1.
All right, that's so much better. That's so much better. Keep that rehab up, man. We appreciate that.
You feel me? It's working all good.
Good. Princeton, 10, 15 seconds. What you got?
Appreciate you guys having me. Would love to come back on if you guys have anything else you'd like to talk about. Hope everyone has a good one.
Next podcast, we're talking about sex. You want to come on?
Bet.
Oh, nah.
I am not talking about sex. I'm talking about freaking son. No. Those days are over. You're a grown man now. Dwayne, 10, 15 seconds.
All right, cool. I just want to thank everybody for the love, Princeton, man. Hey, show love to your generation, man, because if somebody said anything bad about Tupac, I'm going to bust their head open. So, yes, you're supposed to support your generation. Everybody had great dialogue. I love y'all, man. And thanks for the time, and thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Al?
Hey, I appreciate the opportunity, man. This was great. I love to sit back, kick it, you know what I'm saying, listen and, get my feedback. So I'm with Princeton. I'll chime in anytime. So let me know. I appreciate it. Respect all y'all. Love y'all. Be safe and fuck rolling.
Sounds good, Adam.
Hey, yeah. One more Wilt Chamberlain stat for you. Even Bill Russell said that Wilt was the greatest. Go to the videotape.
When did Bill say that?
It was in the 90s when they squashed their beef. It was in the 90s, and they did a separate interview with Bill about it, and they asked him about who was the greatest of all time, and he said Wilt, without a doubt.
Okay. Are you his PR? Does he pay you?
Nah, but I will tell you guys, I grew up in Lawrence, Kansas.
Okay, there you go. There it is.
Because Big Will went to UK, right?
So I KU. So I do know a little bit about Will growing up in that area. So
okay.
No shit.
Eric, what you got, sir?
I appreciate everybody coming on. Love the different perspectives. I'm glad we was able to sit back and kick it virtually. This may be the new norm. If this is part of the new norm, I do love it. I like the fact that we've got different perspectives from different years as far as everybody watching basketball. I respect everybody's except that Greg Oden comment.
Right.
The only thing LeBron and Greg Oden has in common is that wrinkled forehead. That's about it.
Hey, man, they long lost brothers, bro. And they both from Ohio.
Okay.
All good.
Okay.
Well, like Eric said, definitely want to thank you guys for coming on. Appreciate it. See, Antoine, you talked so much shit. Dwayne had to go get his mask. The smell was getting to him. But thank you all for joining. This was an awesome show. Just as a quick recap, the greatest NBA team, we got the Golden State Warriors and the number 1 overall pick. Did the experts get it right? We say no. The top 10 we're good with, just the orders mixed up, but we all got Jordan number 1. So I once again appreciate everyone. You guys heard it here from our mouth to your ears. We are out.